This is a story of unrequited love. Unrequited love. That's what this video is about. And you're probably wondering why I'm making a video so soon after my last video. How could I be making a video so soon after my last video? Just made a video. Just made one and just uploaded one. Why am I making another video so soon? Well, the reason is because it's a crisis situation. And I like to keep my viewers informed, and everyone deserves to be informed what's going on. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that I don't discriminate against any people for their religion. I don't discriminate against people for their chosen religion. I may not accept that religion, and I may not believe that religion myself, but that's not the same as rejecting the people that believe in that religion. So I just wanted to make that clear. I wanted to preface this by saying that. And some people don't get to choose their religion. Their parents choose it for them. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that some people really don't get a choice in the matter. Their parents choose. Now, you always have a choice, but some people, they're just not capable of exercising that choice because, you know, they've been brainwashed since an early age, and they really don't have any ability to say no to what they've been taught. They just don't have that ability. They cannot resist. They cannot resist. So, it's just my statement that I would like to preface this with. Not condemning any religion specifically, but I care very much about the people. Now, why do I say unrequited love? Well, I'd like to tell you a story. You may have heard me discuss my ex-friend Judy before. She's still my ex-friend. She's not my friend. Consider her an ex-friend. And I'll tell you about the latest blow-up I had with her. I'll tell you about the latest blow-up. She was very, very critical of me for no reason. She was so critical. She's just mean, sin, and just so mean to me. She's been mean to me for the past year. So, and ruining my schoolwork, just depressing the hell out of me, and I just couldn't work, couldn't do anything. She just knew how to dish it out over and over and over. I took it all. It was just like a masochist and just took all her guff. So, so Judy, one day I had stopped writing her. And I was done with her. Then I decided, well, you know, I would really like Judy to survive in the event of a nuclear war. I really would like her to survive. And then I heard about some cars that were on sale, with some SUVs. They were on sale. So I told her about the SUV sale. And she was like, well, I can't afford that right now, but thank you anyway for telling me. Then I thought to myself, well, she didn't seem to mind that. She didn't get too upset. So I decided to recommend some more things to her. So I recommended a solar collector and a wood-burning stove. And I said, you should really get these things. You should get a solar collector and a wood-burning stove. And a solar collector, in case you want to know, is not the same as a solar panel. Solar panel generates electricity, whereas a solar collector is much cheaper, much cheaper, and all it does is heat the air or heat water and warms up your home. So a solar collector is very simple. It's just a piece of plastic that you attach to your roof, and it heats up the air in your attic and it circulates through your home. You just get a fan for circulation and heat your home all winter long. It can also prevent snow from accumulating on your roof, which is great because then your roof won't collapse if there's a heavy snow. So people get 13 feet of snow. So I was warning her, basically, that I didn't warn her, but I said that I recommended them, that they were good purchases, and said it was a good buy and she should try to get these things. She didn't respond to me. Judy did not respond to me. Instead, she spoke to my mother, and she said, "Do you know what your daughter did? Do you know what her daughter did?" And then she was telling my mom that my mom had blocked her. My mom had blocked her and was having nothing more to do with Judy. She said that if my mom did not reply to her after my mom had blocked her and wanted nothing more to do with her, if she did not reply, she was going to tell me something that my mom said as a punishment. So she threatened her. And my mom had a fit, and she told me immediately what was going on. And she showed me Judy's post to her. And she said, and my mom was saying that she was getting pains in her chest and in her left arm, which meant her heart was acting up because she was so upset. I told Judy, and I scolded her, and then I had nothing more to do with her. And then I was so mad, and I felt so, I can't even, I was so upset, and I told Judy that she had been so bad she could possibly be born a chicken, and an animal, possibly a chicken. She could possibly be born a chicken, because I was really mad at her. I was so upset, and had nothing more to do with her. Just wanted nothing to do with her after that, and hear Judy's side of it. She claimed that my mom made a hit and run post. This is the way she put it, a hit and run post that my mom had written her, and said that she was affecting my schoolwork and to stop talking to me, and then said she wanted nothing more to do with Judy, and stopped writing her. And that's what Judy considered a hit and run. So that's her take on it. That's her perspective. And Judy just happens to be Jewish. So she's influenced, sculpted my opinion on certain topics related to Israel, the nation of Israel, and also issues affecting Jewish people. So, and she hasn't necessarily influenced me for her side or to agree with her. In fact, in many cases, she's caused me to become opposed to her point of view. So, just a little preface, just a story about unrequited love, that I cared about Judy. I wanted her to survive, and that's how she repays me, by threatening my mom and by being nasty to me, so mean and so vicious. It just was terrible. It was an awful ordeal for me, terrible thing to go through. So then I discovered just today that there's a conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Azerbaijan and Armenia having an armed conflict. They're fighting, and they had a war back in the 90s. It ended in 1994, and I think Russia was the ones that brokered the ceasefire. They brokered a deal between the two sides, and it got them to agree to stop fighting. Putin tried to use be a strong man and muscle his way and stop this conflict. The two sides completely ignored him, kept on fighting. Both sides, both Armenia and Azerbaijan, are accusing the other side of starting the conflict. And I'll tell you what, the territory that is in dispute, it's mostly Armenians. It's like 90% or more Armenians. It's an Armenian territory, but it's not under the control of Armenia because it's a area of conflict. Azerbaijan just wants the land for themselves. They want a land grab. They don't care who's living there or who's been living there. They just want to grab the land for themselves, and they've always wanted to grab the land. So they may have started this conflict so that they could claim the territory for themselves, or the Armenians could have started the conflict because they just want their independence and they want to belong to Armenia. So don't you think that the people who actually live there should have the first, and who have been living there for generations, should have the first claim to that land? And you wonder, how did the Armenians get there? What is the story there? What is the background? Why are the Armenians have a country called Armenia, and why are they living there? And right up against Turkey. Why is Turkey sending arms to Azerbaijan so that Azerbaijan can fight with Armenia? Why is Turkey arming their enemies when they're and Turkey's a huge country and Armenia is just this little thing? What's the story there? What's the background? Well, have you ever heard of the Armenian Genocide? The Young Turks aren't going to like me for this. They're going to be so mad. The Young Turks are going to be mad. The Armenian Genocide ended in 1912. The nation of Turkey killed and drove out 1.5 million Armenians. They killed at least 1 million people. They killed 1 million, and 500,000 they drove out of the country. They decimated the Armenian population. They decimated them. They drove the Armenians out of Constantinople, which had been their traditional home. Constantinople, which is now Istanbul, was the traditional, and it's not nobody's business but the Turks. It involved Armenians. It was their home, and they were driven out. So Armenians, basically, they're Turks, but they've always been Christians, always. They were decimated, completely decimated. And Turkey was never punished for this. They never punished them for killing these Armenians. What religion are the Armenians? They're Christians. They're Orthodox Christians. What religion is Azerbaijan? They are Shiite Muslims, the same as Iran. They're Shiite Muslims. The Turks are also Muslim, and they've been funding Azerbaijan. So it sort of kind of makes sense. Muslim country is aiding another Muslim country. Here's what doesn't make sense. Israel, the nation of Israel, has also been funding Azerbaijan. They've been arming them. Where do they get their arms from? You already know where they get their arms from. They get their arms from the U.S. The U.S. manufactures the arms, sends them in care packages with love from the U.S. to Israel to defend themselves against Palestinians. Then Israel takes those arms sold to them by the U.S. and makes a quick profit selling them to all the other countries. They're a secondary market. They're an arms dealer, and they sell all the U.S. arms that they get for free to all these other countries to get things they want and to get supplies and to make a profit. So Israel is a secondary market for arms, and they've been giving arms to Azerbaijan. Now, the Israeli news outlet claims that Armenia is an ally of Iran, and that Armenia has been friendly to Iran, and that Iran is an enemy of Israel, so that's why they've taken sides against Armenia, because Armenia was a friend of Iran. What possible motivation could Armenia have to want to befriend Iran? Yeah, they share a border with Iran, I think. They're nearby Iran. And Iran's a huge country, and Armenia is just this little country. Why is Armenia a little country? Right, because of the genocide. Their population was almost totally decimated, and they just had to eke out a homeland for themselves. Probably the UN allotted the land to them, and so that they could have a homeland after their genocide. And they're just a tiny little country because the people, their population never replenished itself because they were decimated. So Iran, they're also Shiite Muslims, the same as Azerbaijan. What possible motivation could Armenia have to want to befriend Iran? But you would think that the Iranians would be on the side of Azerbaijan, wouldn't you? It makes sense. They're both Shiite Muslims. So I don't really buy this, that what the Israel news outlet is claiming, that Armenia is an ally and friend of Iran. I don't buy it. It's just an excuse. It's just an excuse to attack Armenia. And they have been selling arms to Azerbaijan for many, many years. And they just sent a shipment on the eve of the hostilities. They sent a huge shipment of guns in exchange for oil. That's what they've been selling the arms to Azerbaijan, because they get supplied with oil by Azerbaijan. Apparently Azerbaijan produces oil. They've been sending it to Israel with love. And in return they get a bunch of weapons from the U.S. And who pays for this? It's the U.S. taxpayer. The U.S. taxpayer pays with their U.S. dollars to fuel this war, and Trump is not going to cut off aid to Israel. Trump loves Israel. He loves Jared, and he loves Israel, and he's not going to cut off funds to Israel. He can hardly wait to send them more arms. And Israel, for its part, even according to the Israeli news outlets, has no intention at all of slowing down or stopping their arms shipments to Azerbaijan, because they have to honor their contracts. See, they're tied in to either a political or business deals, a business negotiation. Tied into a contract, and they intend to honor that contract come hell or high water, even if it means arming the enemies against other genocide survivors. Because Israel and Armenia both suffered a genocide, right? Well, Israel didn't. Israel was created later. But the Jews and the Armenians both suffered a genocide. And the Armenians suffered their genocide before the Jews did. And now the nation of Israel is arming the enemies of genocide survivors like themselves. Isn't that how you would define hypocrisy? Here's another interesting thing. This military aide, can't remember his name. Check out the links in the description. You'll see what this military aide said. He said, people can fight with knives, and people can even fight with sticks and stones. So you can't stop people from fighting. You can't stop them from fighting, because they would even fight with sticks and stones. This is his excuse for selling the arms to Azerbaijan that, they'd be fighting anyway. They'd be fighting with sticks and stones. Yeah, but belies the fact that you're just showing you don't care, belies the fact that guns are a lot more lethal than sticks and stones, and allows you to shoot from a distance, which is much more deadly. It's a much more deadly weapon. Gun is the most deadly weapon, except for a nuclear weapon that's even more deadly. They've been selling grenades, U.S. made, sent for free with love from the U.S. Grenades, rocket launchers, guns, military grade weaponry. The whole 9 yards. They've been selling them all. They just resell them, and they get them for free from the U.S. taxpayer. So basically, U.S. is now funding guns for Muslims to fight a holy war against Christians. Now, I ask you, don't you think this is unrequited love? Isn't this an example of unrequited love? U.S. Christians just love Israel. They love them. They love them because the Bible, Jews, once upon a time, their ancestors, long, long ago, wrote the Bible. Moses was an Israeli, and Jewish people descended from the likes of Moses, from the Jewish people, descended from the ancient Israelis. And so, because of this connection, Christians love Jews, and they love Israel. They just love it. The U.S. Christians love Israel. Basically, it's just nothing they wouldn't do for Israel. It's nothing in this world that they would not do to aid and help the nation of Israel. They do anything. But has Israel returned their love? Have they returned their love, or have they been opportunists, like a parasite on the U.S.? Like, have they ever reciprocated this love? Have they ever, has Israel, the nation of Israel specifically, ever given anything back to the U.S. other than the occasional peanut snack, which is just for American Jews anyway? Have they ever given us anything? Anything at all? I mean, anything that just isn't just for profit. Have they ever given us anything at all in return for the aid we've sent them? They claim that Israel stood down when the U.S. asked them to and didn't attack. But you don't bite the hand that feeds you, right? If we're sending a steady supply of money to keep Israel alive, they're going to obey what we say, right? They're not going to disobey us because they want our money and they want our guns. And it's been very lucrative for them. It's been very lucrative. There's a pipeline of arms traveling from the U.S. into Israel, and Israel reselling those weapons to neighboring countries, including Muslim countries, for things they want and need, like oil. And Azerbaijan and Israel have been trade partners for many, many years. And here's the thing. They've been trade partners for many years, despite the fact that there was a war between Azerbaijan and Armenia in the 90s, and they knew about it, and they still stayed trade partners. And right on the eve of the big arms shipment from Israel to Azerbaijan, this conflict started. They could hardly wait to get the weapons so that they had enough weapons to attack and overwhelm Armenia. And then, after this weapons shipment, this military aid from Israel is saying that, basically saying, oh, we just don't care, because they would fight with sticks and stones anyway, so we just don't care. How much more mean-spirited and sarcastic can you get? So, I did ask Judy what she thought of this, and she said, I would hate to be a politician. I just hate to be a politician, especially of a small country. Because these small countries have to make decisions every day for their own survival. And these decisions aren't always strictly moral. So I would hate to be, she said, I would hate. She said it 3 times, hate to be a politician. And that's all she had to say on the subject, other than the fact that she agrees with me about Turkey. And she says she's conflicted. So what can we learn from all this? Judy's conflicted. Chances are very good that millions of American Jews are conflicted as well. They don't want to be disloyal to Israel. But at the same time, they can see and they know about the Armenian Genocide, and they can see what's happening. And even the Israeli press itself is turning on their own country and saying, you know, this is awful. This is genocide all over again. It's, opposing other genocide victims. Wasn't the Holocaust, but it was a Holocaust. So other Holocaust survivors. And was a religious war. It was all about religion. In case you all are wondering, how did this happen or why did this happen? It's all about religion. So, Turkey got away with it. They were never punished, and so their attitude never changed. Like, a lot of you will knock Germany, you say, and you call them mean names like Krauts, and you say they're just all Nazis. That's a mean word for a German person, and they're just awful people. They're just awful. We can't stand Germany or Germans. People haven't forgotten World War II. Or World War I. They were involved in World War I also. But think about this. Now there's Andrea Merkel, who's about as liberal as they come. And it's kind of like here in America, there's sort of like a 50-50 split between liberals and conservatives. But they basically, most of them have turned over a new leaf. Germany has turned over a new leaf. Jews are very, very afraid to visit. Jews are afraid to visit Germany, but Germany's actually safer than most European countries for Jews now. Like, Jews are in danger in, for example, Norway and the Netherlands and other countries. but they're pretty safe in Germany. They can actually visit some of the sites of the Nazi atrocities and mourn their dead, and no one bothers them, no one disturbs them, even though they can recognize them immediately as Jewish. They're pretty safe. So it's okay if you want to visit. I wouldn't want to live there, but you can visit Germany. Now, why is it safe to visit Germany now if you're a Jew? Why is it safe? Well, because the Allies totally effing crushed Germany, and they crushed their spirits, and they made them pay. We actually made them pay. We rubbed their noses in it, and they turned over a new leaf because we rubbed their noses in it, because we totally crushed them. They turned over a new leaf. Same thing with Japan. Like, you think, wow, the Japanese, and Pearl Harbor, and World War II in the Pacific, the concert of the Pacific. The Japanese were even more extreme than the Nazis. They were about as bad as they come. Now they're our major ally, and we just love them. We get all sorts of anime from Japan. We get all sorts of things from Japan. Japan even teaches about World War II in their schools, and teaches that they were the aggressors and that they were in the wrong. And they've turned over a new leaf also. Japan has been reformed. They've actually turned over a new leaf. So these countries that were actually defeated by us, and even countries we didn't defeat. For example, Vietnam. We didn't win the Vietnam War. The communists won. But just look through your closet and look at some labels on your clothing. You'll see some of them are made in Vietnam. GIs can visit Vietnam now and visit some of the places, and they say it's a beautiful country. They just love Vietnam. There's lots of nice restaurants there. People visit the restaurants there. And my mom even has a friend who's trapped in Vietnam right now. Not trapped by the government. They love her there. She's trapped by the airlines. The airlines won't make any flights in or out of the country because of coronavirus, even though Vietnam has one of the very lowest rates of coronavirus infection in the world. They won't come in or out of the country. So she's temporarily stranded, let's put it that way. So, and she would have to pay a lot of money to get out of the country. It's something like $2,000 for a flight out. Or maybe it's more, maybe it's $10,000. It's a king's ransom right now. So she's just staying put. She's learned the language. She's very happy. She's very happy, and they love her there. And she and her boyfriend might even settle there because they're so happy. So these countries that, even the countries we didn't defeat, countries we've made war on, have turned over a new leaf. What about Turkey? Did we ever invade Turkey? Did we ever place sanctions on Turkey? Did we ever punish Turkey? The answer is no. It's a resounding no. Turkey's never been punished. And because they've never been punished, they have not turned over a new leaf. They still hate their old enemies. They hate. They're full of hatred for their old enemies, the Armenians. They would like nothing more because basically Muslim supremacy hasn't been rooted out there and hasn't been crushed. They would like nothing more to exterminate their old enemies, the Armenians. They want to finish the job. So they're sending arms to Azerbaijan. Now, that is something terrible, but something that the human mind can comprehend and wrap your head around it. How do you explain Israel sending guns to Azerbaijan? How do you explain that? They're both Holocaust survivors. How do you explain that? There is no explanation other than total self-serving, self-serving, self-focused, navel-gazing, narcissistic self-interest. Total narcissism. Total self-interest. Total douchebaggery. And total douchebaggery and total hypocrisy. So, if you are Jewish, now might be the time to speak out against what Israel is doing. Show your displeasure toward Israel. Because there's no one they want to listen to more than American Jews. Say something. Don't just say, well, I would hate to be a politician and small countries have to make big decisions. No, for their own survival, no. Azerbaijan doesn't want survival. They want thrival. They want to be number one, and they want all the territory. They want to drive the Armenians out and have all that territory for themselves. They're selfish. They're greedy. So, and it's Armenians that live there. They're selfish and greedy and just want to have a land grab. It's like what Israel did, where they sympathized because they did a land grab of the West Bank and of Gaza. And wasn't that long ago that they did this and started settling the area. And it's begun again under Netanyahu. So, now's the time to speak out. Your Christian friends are in danger. And they need you now. Will you give back to your Christian friends? Or will you say, I don't care about other Holocaust survivors. I don't care about genocide survivors. I don't care about Christians. And you can all sod off. You can all sod off. What are you going to, what will your answer be? What say you? What say you? It's like, I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings, like Christians toward Israel are like Smeagol. Christians are like Smeagol. When it comes to Israel, they say, but Israel's our friend. And then Gollum answers Smeagol and says, you don't have any friends. You don't have any friends. Yeah, Israel is not your friend. Sorry, they just aren't. And the way they are right now, they're very conservative and they're very extreme. They're very extreme. And they don't care about anyone but themselves. They're only interested. They're ruthless. They've become ruthless bastards, and they don't care. They don't care. The media might care. Media in Israel might care, but the leadership does not care at all. They're just totally ruthless. It's like, I don't know, was there a movie called Ruthless Bastards? I think there was some sort of movie called Ruthless Bastards. I'm not sure, but that's the way the leadership is now. Now I want to talk briefly about Trump. I'm going to make this very brief. Trump, he's better now, and his doctor's given him the all clear and said he can deal with the public again, even though he's still infectious because he's still got the disease. He's gotten the all clear. And what experimental treatment did he get that he is wishing for every American now? What experimental treatment did he get that helped him recover so quickly? Was a antibody vaccine. And first of all, it involved a mouse with a human immune system. And I don't know how they did this, but they genetically engineered a mouse. They used some gene splicing tools along with that they got from a bacteria, along with some not recombinant DNA. It was some of that genetically edited DNA that they generate with a 3D printer. They generate the DNA. They can make a DNA strand from scratch. They've inserted that DNA into a mouse, so now the mouse has a human immune system. And then they tested it on these mice with the human immune systems. They also had some COVID survivors donate their blood and donate their antibodies. And then they tested it on the mice. However, in the very early stages of the development of this vaccine, they used human cells. Not stem cells, but human cells. Where did they get these human cells? They got these human cells from an aborted fetus. And apparently it came from the aborted fetus's kidney. However, the fetus was aborted in the year 1972, which is long before I was born. Now, here's the real question. Does that matter to you? Does it matter to you? I don't know if the mother gave permission, but the fetus certainly didn't have any say in the matter, and the fetus did not give permission. Now, I have been known to be pro-choice. And I am pro-choice. However, I do oppose the use of human body parts, for scientific purposes that were given without consent. So, for example, organ harvesting, which is done in China. They kill peasants for their organs and sell them on the black market for a quick profit for the Chinese Communist Party. They sell human body parts on the black market. It's a trade going on in human body parts. They just sell them, kill people for their organs and harvest them, sell the organs on the black market. Kidneys, hearts, livers, whatever they can harvest, even corneas. Sort of the same principle here, right? Even if the mother gave consent, the fetus could not give consent because it wasn't unborn yet, and it maybe didn't even have a brain yet, and the fetus could not give its consent. They used the material from that fetus that didn't give consent to make immortal cells that they kept alive for decades in a laboratory. They kept these cells alive for decades in a laboratory. It's the same situation with that African American woman. There's an African American woman. She died, and some doctor got the brilliant idea to harvest some cells from her before the cells died, before she was completely dead. She was probably brain dead and her circulation had stopped, but it wasn't too late to harvest some cells from her. They took some cells from this lady and they made the cells immortal. She had died of natural causes. They didn't kill her for her cells. She didn't give consent. She didn't give them any permission to take her cells. They just took them and did use them for research purposes for many, many, many years. Now her family has to fight these legal battles. They're pursuing all of these scientists and their parent companies that were total rats, that stole her cells and used them for research purposes. Without consent of the person, and without proper compensation and without consent, at least consent, even if you don't give compensation. She should give compensation, but without consent, that's why you should never use fetuses, because fetuses are incapable of giving consent. Even children can't give consent. They can say yes, but are they old enough to make a decision, life and death decision for themselves, based on themselves? So you really can't. Yes, fetal cells may be very useful because they're so youthful and they're forever young. If you keep them immortal, they can be kept in a young state forever. But you have to weigh the pros and cons. Is it worth it to use cells from a fetus that would have been aborted by the mother anyway to save potentially millions of lives? Or is the life of the unborn and their consent that they didn't give and more important, even if it costs millions of lives? Now, you just have to weigh the pros and cons. There's no clear answers. How do you answer something like that? There's no clear answers. But when there's no clear answers, clearly the best action to take is none. Because if you can't answer questions like that, you shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't do it. If you don't know the answer, it shouldn't be done at all. People are going to do it anyway. And Trump doesn't care. Check out the description. All the links are there, weighing all the pros and cons. And they were making a big deal out of the fact that they said that these were stem cells and that they weren't stem cells. Big whoop. That's not what people are concerned about. Yeah, they said stem cells and that was an accident. But just because they weren't stem cells doesn't mean this isn't an issue of concern. It wasn't the fact that they weren't stem cells that was at issue. That is an obfuscation. What was at issue was that they used cells from the unborn that did not give their consent to have their genetic material used in this manner after their potential body temples had been slaughtered. What does the soul think? This unborn fetus. Would they want millions to be helped by their demise, or would they have rather lived a human life? Well, we'll never know. There's no way we can know. We can't communicate with the soul of an unborn fetus, so we don't know. So many unanswered questions. So many moral issues that they're just unsolvable. The issue with Israel is pretty cut and dry. It's pretty clear. But this issue, there's no clear answers. And so I think I'm opposed to this. I think that if you don't know the answer, you just shouldn't go there. You just shouldn't do it. It's better not to do it. If you're going to kill an unborn baby, then kill it. Don't bring it back to life as Frankenstein, or keep its cells alive for potentially thousands of years and make them immortal and do experiments on the poor fetus's cells that are descendants from cells from decades ago. And they're saying, well, this is okay, and all the anti-abortion groups are saying it's okay because they love Trump. They just love this man, love him to death, and they'd do anything for him. They're saying it's okay because it was decades ago. So it matters how long it's been. It's because it happened decades ago. It's okay. It's the same thing that they said about me, that because my father molested me decades ago, can't prosecute him anymore. Statute of limitations has run out, and now it's okay. It's okay, and we can't do anything to him, and now it's okay what he did to you because it's been so long. Same thing. It's the same thing. How do you feel about this? Leave a quick comment in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.